Hey guys, what's up? IrishEmerald here, and welcome to our team building episode for the next type that's going to be in our Monotype series. Like I said in the first team building episode, these episodes going to be as long as possible until we actually come up with some sort of decent team to be able to use on the ladder. So this next type we're going to be using is ground. We're going to be rocking out the ground type, and the reason why we're going to go and use ground first after poison is because a lot of people come to me and ask how to use ground simply because I use ground for a long time. I know my way around it, the threats, the best way to run it offensively, defensively, all that kind of fun stuff. So I was asked to kind of put up this video so as to kind of help one or two people who are starting or struggling with learn how to use ground types to just so they actually have something to reference and be just literally a quick access guide for them to know what to look out for, what they can use, and all that kind of fun stuff. So this episode is going to be a bit different to what we're going to see in other team building episodes, simply because I actually have an idea about what I'm going to do and how I'm going to present it, and I have an idea about the whole background to the type, unlike all the other types that we're going to be seeing. Because I'm not going to lie, I have no real idea. I have no real idea about how they work out. So if you guys want to see my thoughts behind, well, no, I'll start again. What I'm going to do first, I'm going to go through some of the theory that I know, some of the theory that I use when it comes to building a mono ground team, and then I'm going to go through the team I'm going to use. And the team I'm going to use is going to be a very, very basic team I'm going to use. It's going to be nothing very fancy about it. It's something for everybody out there who's just starting a mono ground to actually use on the ladder. We're not going to see any wild stuff. We're not going to be seeing baton pass, swords dancing, glide scores. We're not going to be seeing crazy ass stuff with Dom fans or Marowaks or anything like that. It was going to be very basic. It's going to be very high tier mons that we're going to be using, just so as you guys can actually see some of the power and what's the best way to structure your ground team. So the best way I think I'm going to start off with this, as I said, I'm going to start with theory first. So if theory is not your thing, please skip forward to the head of the video and just see what I'm going to be using in the team and why I'm using it and why it's standard. But for theory wise, what the really good thing about ground types, this is probably the best place to start. The really good thing about ground types is that they're extremely diverse. Extremely diverse. You can play almost any playstyle with ground types. It's got enough bulk so as you can play defensively. Stall isn't the best option, to be fair. It's very poor stall, but defensively it's extremely good. You can it's very easy to wear stuff down, especially with Sandstorm knocking about. But where it actually shines is in offense. It's a very offensive type, even though it can be played defensively, simply because of its abilities that you get in the sand, such as Sand Rush and Sand. Oh, I know this. Sand Rush and Sand Force. Them two are the main ones. Sand Veil isn't really that worthwhile. I think I've only seen it pop once for me, really, on Garchomp, and it's not really that viable. Whereas Sand Force and Sand Rush, they really make ground types into a phenomenal force. And what also makes them so versatile is that the dual typings you get with ground. So if you're to look at the types you have, if you're worried about birds, you have Rhyperior and Steelix. If you're worried about ice, you have Excadrill, Steelix, such as. If you're worried about water types, you have Quagsire, Gastrodon, Seismitoad, etc. Yeah, I literally just a nice wide range of different duo types that you can use on your team, which really makes mono ground very fun to play with, just so as to be able to mix and match. That being said, though, despite this, there is a few very, very key threats to ground types that you will see popping up very often. Actually, most of these are very popular. The big one is rain teams, and in rain teams, the Swift Swimmers. Kingdra is bad. Kingdra's actually it can be very, very nasty to take down, but the big one there is Ludicolo. Ludicolo is the bane to ground types. It's either be Specs, Life Orb, whatever, because it gets the perfect coverage. It has your Ice Beam, has your Giga Drain, and has your Hydro Pump. It mollywops any kind of counter that we ground types have against rain teams. Ludicolo handles that so easily, and that is one of the reasons why it's so popular in rain teams, and because all them Storm Drain mons gone, end off, and Ludicolo just hits them. Especially Specs. Specs just goes through it. So when you see Ludicolo, it's pretty much just time to panic. It don't panic, but it is literally kind of the sirens go off. You got to be awake. You got to be careful about how you play around it. Other mons that are actually very, very threatening. Mega Venusaur, bulky Mega Venusaur is a pain. You have Landorus Incarnate who can deal with it, and Landorus Incarnate is legal in Monotype. It's not legal in OU, as most of you guys know, but it is legal in Monotype. So Landorus Incarnate is the main counter to because we have Psychic and we hit it. But bulky Mega Venusaur, it can hit, and it can hit very hard, and it's extremely difficult to deal with. Other mons like Breloom is quite tricky. The Focus Sash, Cell Smash, Cloyster. If you remove your counter to that, or if you lose some way of dealing that early, and he's holding that back, it's going to sweep. It's simple as that. You have to be very careful with it. Sub Calm Mind Keldeo is a bane, is an absolute nuisance to deal with as well. And with that, can get a sub and a Calm Mind between Hydro Pump and Secret Sword, it's going to hit, and it's going to hit hard, and it's very, very hard to deal with. Especially seeing as how one of the staples of ground teams, Hippowdon. Like, you can put Special Bulk there, but after one or two Calm Minds, it's not going to be able to whirlwind your that sub out. Mega Sableye can be a bit of an issue because a lot of ground type mons can burn, are physical, so that can burn and recover, and it's got a really good bulk to it. Best way of dealing with it is just to wear it down with a special wall or with your physical wall. The way I normally deal with it has been get Gastrodon in, burn it, wear it down, just stall it out. Gastrodon for some reason, because depending on the player, if the player is like a low tier player, you should be able to play around it. But if he's a smart player and he knows this Gastrodon can kind of go one-on-one with me and stall me out to the point where he can come in and set up a little bit. That's the kind of area that you want to be at. Because despite the fact that the Sableye can Calm Mind up and up and up, Gastrodon has access to recovery and has good decent bulk, and it's the same kind of around with a lot of special walls and ground. You should be able to kind of take it. That's my kind of answer to it, but it's not a great answer to it at all by any means. I wouldn't say quote me on that. You would take practice to be able to do it. It took a good bit of practice before I was able to consistently knock Mega Sableye out safely. What else is there? So Bloom, Azumarill can be a bit of an issue, but it's not a big deal. Kyurem is a bit of an issue, but again, Sand and Excadrill deal with it quite well. Scarf for Life or variants. I know. Yeah, it's there on the list of threats, but for me it's not the worst. Latios for me is actually a much more bigger threat than Kyurem, because you got your immunity to your stab, and it's very, very hard to find something that can actually deal with a Latios really easily. The way I always deal with it in my normal teams is I normally carry Scarfed Nidoking, and my Scarfed Nidoking carries Ice Beam and Flamethrower to deal with Scamry, Ice Beam to deal with Latios. And now that we mentioned it, Scamry is actually probably the biggest, well, not the biggest, but it's one big check to ground teams, because it's the Steel type that's immune to our stab. So you do need something to carry for it. I normally tend to go with my Flamethrower Nidoking. I'm not going to go with here in this team though, but it's one way of going about, especially if you're rocking out with Mega Garchomp without a Fire Blast. Because that is an option of being able to run an SD variant or a different variant of Mega Garchomp. But if you don't have Fire Blast on the Garchomp, you need something to be able to hit that Scamry hard, especially, so that it doesn't set up all the spikes and all the hazards and all that stuff that it knows it wants to do. I haven't been over everything. I'm just going to have a quick look. Yeah, I think that's Manaphy. Sorry, Manaphy. Manaphy was the last one. Manaphy is the big one as well because of Tail Glow. So I don't think we need to mention that furthermore. Once it gets Tail Glow and it gets energy. Yeah, it is energy ball. It gets energy ball. So again, them Storm Drain Pokemon that we have, them Water Ground types, gone. And then it can just Scald, Hydro Pump, whatever it really wants to do. It can just it can just spam that once they're gone. So that's kind of their safe option. But despite them threats, a lot of them actually have something that in ground that you can deal with. Like Sub-Calm Mine Keldeo is actually very, very common because Keldeo is a really popular Pokemon. And if you want to be able to deal with Keldeo, or if you find Keldeo as an issue, Unaware Quagsire, you just put down your team and that deals with it. If you're having trouble with Rain Teams and Ludicolo is your issue, a Choice Specs, Sludge Wave from Seismitoad, and Seismitoad gets Swift Swim. So it's kind of a niche, but if it's something you're going to encounter, like if you know I'm coming up against Mono Water, he's going to bring the rain, he's going to bring Ludicolo, I need something to deal with it. It's kind of a nice way to be able to just work around it, because it doesn't no code, but it does like 90%, and then you should be able, you can work with that after. You can kind of, once you've worn it down that much, you kind of feel comfortable enough to be able to say, right, it's a threat, it's going to outspeed, but at the same time though, I should be able to deal with it. What else? QRB again, bit of an issue, but Quagsire can deal with it. Gastrodon can kind of take it out as well. It's not the worst. Because seems like QRB is kind of so frail. It's handy enough. I think that's everything. I think that's it on the theory side. Like I said, mostly offensive. So we're going to try and run offensively, and I'm going to really run a very standard team, and I'm going to actually go through the sets I'm going to be using and what different sets there are for each mon. So the first one I'm going to use, I know a few of you guys might be like, oh, hurry up and just build a team, but the first mon I'm definitely going to use is going to be the Hippodon, and Hippodon is going to have Soundstream, and we're going to have leftovers. Now the reason why we're not running Smooth Rock, for those wondering, is because Smooth Rock is illegal in Monotype. Same with the Damp Rock and the other and the Heat Rock and all the other rocks that kind of boost the weather in the game. So I'm going to rock out with Earthquake, because Earthquake is the main one. Let's just stab. Stealth Rock, because rocks be handy against the flying types. Flying types will be tough. Actually, I forgot to mention Mono Flying is a bit of a tricky issue, but again, Rhyperior, Golem, Steelix. You know, if you're coming up against Mono Flying, it's not the hardest to prepare for. It's because how versatile the Mono Ground is. So Earthquake, Stealth Rock, Whirlwind. Whirlwind's pretty much a staple on this, so as to be able to stop setup on Hippodon. Earthquake, Stealth Rock, Whirlwind, and Slack Off. So as to get recovery. So we get recovery. We have our rocks. We have our Whirlwind to stop setup, and we have Earthquake Stab. So it's not too bad. Now I'm actually going to run the physically defensive set. Now there's a few sets you can rock out with Hippodon. You can rock out your Mixed Wall, which is, I think, if I believe correctly, 252 HP, 144 defense, and 112 special defense. I believe. I can't really remember off the top of my head, and it's Impish as well. So that's the Mixed Wall variant, and the Special Wall is where you just dump it all in special defense. For me personally, I actually prefer this variant simply to deal with them megas that are physically offensive, like the Mega Medichams, the Mega Lopunnies, all that kind of stuff. Hippodon can deal with. So I was just trying to think of a nickname. I can't remember nicknames. I'll get to nicknames after the episode. I normally figure it out then. So this is the Hippodon set that we're going to work with. And the main thing that you really want in the ground type is your sand, because sand helps the ground type so much. Wears down the offense when we're switching. Sets up helps out Excadrill, Garchomp, Mega Garchomp, Mega Steelix, loads of Pokemon that can rely on the sand. that we have access to, and it is pretty much necessary that we actually we have to stand up. Anytime we don't want to be like we're relying on the stand overly, but we want to be at the stage where like once we have to stand up, we know we can win. If you kind of get me, maybe I'm not explaining that too well. The way we kind of want is when we don't have to stand up, we can cope. We can play around. We're not heavily reliant on it. But once we have to stand up, we can start punching holes. We can in the other person's team. We can put some heavy pressure on them. That's the way you kind of work. I want to have it working out. So Hippodon is a really kind of staple on nearly every ground team. I was reading some statistics there a little while ago, and Hippodon is between 40% and 25% the first mon picked to be your lead. Simply just set up the stand in ground for mono ground, and the reason, and the percentages change depending on the type you're facing, but simply because once we get stand is just such a necessity. But we have to be able to prepare so that we're not overly reliant on sand. You need to be at the point where sand is great, but if we don't have stand up, how do we work around it? And the last point I'm going to make on Hippodon should never faint unless you're about to set up the sand for Excadrill or some other mon to come in and just clean up. You always want sand in the back, right? Because the sand is pretty much what sets up a lot of other mons on your team. Even though I've been saying you need to be able to operate without the sand, you don't want to lose your sand early game, mid game. You lose your sand end game, because especially against another weather team, particularly rain, where it comes down to it and you're like, I'm holding the sand back, and then the last chance you get, I'm putting in the sand and I'm putting the pressure on now so as to try and take the offensive advantage. It takes time to be able to figure out when to sack Hippodon, but you need to keep him pretty much 95% of the time. You hold on to Hippodon until the very end, and then you sack him so as to be able to get a slave switch in for Excadrill or whoever. And speaking of Excadrill, that is the next one we're going to be using. And Excadrill is pretty much a staple on every single ground type team because of Sand Rush. That is it. That is the main reason. We're running Life Orb because you can run Bandit and a few others, but Life Orb for me is the best one because once you have to stand up, Excadrill can come in and he outspeeds everything and pretty much, and what you want to do at that point is just obliterate things. And you don't want to be the case where somebody brings in the flying type and you can't deal with it, or they bring in somebody who can some sort of grass type or a fairy or like a Clefable or something like that, and you're locked into like Rock Slide or anything like that. You want to be able to come in and it's like, right, I have 3 or 4 moves now and I have 3 or 4 turns in the sand. Whoever they bring in, I'm hurting, and that's it. So again, Earthquake, because we just want simple, nice power like that. Iron Head to deal with fairies. I know fairies aren't a big thing for ground types, but again, always nice to have. Rock Slide to deal with them flying types. That's the main reason. And I like Rapid Spin, and I'll just so as to be able to get rid of Sticky Web. Because Sticky Web is an annoyance. And it was something that actually I came up against recently. It was when I had Rapid Spin Excadrill and a Sticky Web was set up, and it prevented me from sweeping with Excadrill because I couldn't bring it, because I was waiting for the moment I can bring up Excadrill and spin, and then when I had it spun and then I went back out to be able to kind of like wear down the rest of the team, my opponent had worn me out already to the point where it wasn't viable for me to be able to bring out Excadrill and be able to sweep at that point. So it is something that is nice to have, Rapid Spin, just so as to be able to say, right, he's web up or he spikes up, whatever, and I'm like, right, I can get rid of him. I'm going to get rid of him, and as soon as you get a chance to get rid of him, because it's just an annoyance really, and it's nice to have that option for this team anyways, especially with Excadrill, so as you don't get extra damage. So basically, bread and butter really, 252 attack, 252 speed, 4 speed F. Now, depending on what you want, you can run Adamant or you can run Jolly. I normally run Jolly because I run Jolly Excadrill because if you're playing if you go up against another mono ground team or you go up against a mono steel team and they rock an Excadrill and their Sand Rush and their Adamant, your Jolly one is can kill, and you already have a very decent attack stat as it is with your 135 there, so it's not major. So it's not a major hit you're taking off by just going Jolly instead of Adamant. I'm going to run Adamant this time, just so you guys can see. If we end up going up against another Excadrill and he ends up being Jolly and he has speeds, then you can see my reason behind why I normally run Jolly. But I'm going to run Adamant this time just to, just so you guys can see like how hard, like the max output power you can get from the Excadrill by running this variant. But also in that scenario, if we run into that scenario, why Jolly, is actually is a really good idea. You should knock it, because I know it's situational, but when you play this type often enough, you're like, I don't want situation. I want this locked. I want it to be the case where should this happen, I'm not worried. And Excadrill has enough power as is already. It's a monster. It really is a monster. Like if we were to go Jolly, just to show like it still has 369 attack, life orb boosted. Like it's still going to hurt someone ridiculously hard. Earthquake, like monster power there. So that's kind of there. Them two mons are kind of like the staple for every ground team, because you have your physically defensive, you have your Sand Setter and Hippodon, who can kind of take any kind of hit physically in this variant, and in other variants you can take different kind of hits, but you just got to be able to watch it. And you have your Excadrill here who loves the sand, comes in and just decimates things. The next thing that's really vital for a ground team is your Storm Drainer or Water Absorb, whichever one it is really, so as to be able to deal with these water type attacks, and you don't have somebody coming in and spamming water Scald or anything like that. So you have three of them. You have your Quagsire there, not too bad. He has Water Absorb, and he's Unaware too, as I mentioned beforehand, Unaware to deal with Keldeo if needs be. You have your Seismitoad. Does Seismitoad get it? Yeah, he has Water Absorb. Sorry, I was just trying to think there, because the main reason why I use Seismitoad is for Swift Swim, dealing with rain teams. But again, that's situational. And we're not going to use that here because we want this to be pretty standard. Here's another idea. But the one I normally go for, and that's my crutch, is this guy, this slug, Gastrodon, Storm Drain, and good HP stat, and he's got good special bulk. And I run my Gastrodon to be especially bulky. This guy, Storm Drain, deals with literally all the water type mons, and deals with Latios as well. So I run Scald because I want to burn things if I get the chance. I run Ice Beam to deal with Latios. I run Toxic because I run it so as to help wear down the team, my opponent's team, so Excadrill and on my other offensive mons can kind of hit harder. Plus, Gastron's kind of one that people will kind of think they can come into and kind of sit up against, but so it's nice to put that toxic and put a timer on them. And then last but not least, I want to run recover to get that to get them to get recovery, to get reliable recovery. There we go. That's the word I was looking for. So the set I'm going to run, as I said, is going to be especially defensive. This can be physically bulky as well, but I personally prefer the special set here. So I find it's the best way to. Well, I find it's a really good use case so as to be able to deal with all the special hits. That's the best way I find it. And then we put 4 into special attack, so Ice Beam hits a little bit harder. But yeah, it's mainly just used to be able to take these water type attacks and hit back hard. That's the main one I always go for. And again, as I said, a Storm Drain Pokemon on a ground team is a necessity. It's absolute necessity. If you don't have one, then I'm sorry, but if you don't have one, you will get bodied because there will be a Pokemon that'll come along with Scald and be like, I see no Storm Drain Mon here. I'm going to Scald, I'm going to Burn, I'm just going to keep clicking it until I win. And that's pretty much it. He'll just spam it. And he'd be right to do it as well because you haven't prepared properly, you haven't got a Storm Drain Pokemon to be able to stop that. And that's the reason why you carry one of these. And again, like Hippowdon, you don't really want this to go down until you've dealt with their Scald users. And on rain teams, you want this guy kept as healthy as possible. And you don't leave him in against Ludicolo. You never leave him in against Ludicolo. Simple as that. So, that's our Storm Drain Pokemon. Again, yeah, and I've already been through who else you can use. So, them three, again, again, that's kind of like the core, kind of, because you have your sand, you cover your water weakness, and you have something to hit offensively. So now the kind of rest of the team is kind of like what we want to use and how we deal with ground types threats. And the way I'm going to run this one, again, as I said, I'm going to leave it very, very standard. So I'm going to go with Garchomp. And I'm going to run a Mega variant because we have Sand Force here. That attack stat and Sand Force is monstrous. Now, and we do get a nice bit of extra bulk to it as well. You can run Sand Veil because we're going to have the Sand up. It's up to you personally. I'm going to run Rough Skin this time. As I said at the start, I don't see Sand Veil popping too often, but you know it's always nice when it does. I'm not going to lie, it is nice when it does. I'm going to run the Garchomp Bite. Rough Skin, it's going to be very simple. We're going to go Dragon Claw. We're going to go Earthquake. We're going to go Iron Head for that coverage. And the reason why we go to deal with fairies, and the reason why and ice types, and the reason why we go Iron Head instead of Poison Jab, there's two reasons. One is because it deals with ice types as well, but two, we're Sand Force boosted when we're Mega, so Iron Head gets a boost in power as well. Now, depending on what you do with your team here, you can run Swords Dance, or you can run another physical type attack, or you can run mixed, whichever way you want. But I'm going to run Fire Blast, and like I said at the start of the episode, well, not at the start, but like near enough that like a little while ago, you need Fire Blast to deal with Skarmory, because at the moment Skarmory kind of hard checks the team very, very, very well, and like instead of passes and just play around it. So you need Fire Blast to be able to just, hit it. So we can go Fast Physical Sweeper. It's kind of one I normally go for as well. The naive nature. One really good tip is if you go up against Mono Dragon, or if you see mons that are base 100 speed, don't Mega until you feel like you can deal with them properly. Until then, just hold back Mega Evolving, because Garchomp, in of it itself, is it can still hit hard without being Mega. But again, it's still always nice to be able to just hold back if you see it, and wear him down enough and take the hit. And it should be noted that even though like Garchomp did get a nice extra hit in bulk, so when it Mega Evolve. So when you do Mega Evolve, don't be afraid to say, "Oh, we have to switch out." Garchomp's he's not the glass cannon that Excadrill kind of is. He's going to come in and he can take hits, and he's just going to he'll keep going for you. Like he's tanky. He's got a bit of muscle behind him, so he's got a bit of bulk behind him. So you can definitely just stay in and hit hard with it. If you want to use the Swords Dance variant, I do recommend it, because it's a variant I love anyways. It's a variant if you can come in. It's a variant that's really good against Mega Venusaur, believe it or not. If Mega Venusaur isn't carrying Hidden Power Ice, because Mega Venusaur can't do much to get Mega Garchomp. If it doesn't have Hidden Power Ice, it's going to Leech Seed, it can Toxic, it can do whatever, it can wear it down. But at the end of the day, Mega Garchomp wins the fight. Like he'd be worn down, but he wins the fight. And so it is a decent counter to it. And the best way, and against other kind of tanky mons or stally mons, you can come in and just Swords Dance, and you can Swords Dance 2 or 3, I wouldn't say 2 or 3 times, but at least once, and if you can, twice. And if you stand up, Earthquake +4, 170 base attack, You're killing stuff, like it's monstrous. But again, if you're not running it, you need, or if you're not carrying something to deal with, to be able to help deal with Scam Rate, you need Fire Blast. It's as simple as that. Don't get greedy thinking, oh, I can just spam Sword Stance and Scam Rate will be fine. You need Fire Blast, and that's kind of like the baseline to it. So we have a Mega there. I'm gonna add some special offense here in Landorus Incarnate with Sheer Force. Now, Sand Force is grand, but it's just not as good as Sheer Force. I know you're thinking, oh, you can use Sand Force because we're in the sand, but Sheer Force is by far the best way. And one more point, actually, on Garchomp before I go back to Landorus, as something I've been seeing a lot is, I will say a lot, but like with some beginners, what they might do is, since when they have to stand up and they have Garchomp Megad, they're thinking, oh, we can still go with Earthquake and Iron Head because they're boosted. Dragon Claw stab, right? So don't be thinking that Iron Head is the be all end of all here. We can just, because we have stand up. If you have the option between like Dragon Claw is base 80, Iron Head base 80, you know, pretty much, you know. I don't, isn't it? Yeah, it is base 80. It should be base 80. Yeah, it's base 80. Like the way I always see it is, I prefer to see people going for the Dragon Claw because there's resistance. There's a good few more resistances to the steel than there is to the Dragon Claw. So that's kind of my kind of little tip. Even though it's the same base power, you're getting stabbed with Dragon Claw. So the boost with Iron Head isn't exactly brilliant, but yet you're still getting. It's just the fact that Dragon Claw isn't like you have one immunity and one resistance with Dragon Claw. With Iron Head, you have like there's a few knocking about, like, you know, there's a few knocking about that can take steel type attacks. So I would kind of recommend going for Dragon Claw first. Yeah, like if you had the choice between the two, just go for Dragon Claw. That's what I'm trying to basically say. I shouldn't be ranting on there, like, you know, I should be just trying to get to the point. But yeah, Landorus for a bit of special offense. So very quick and easy, Earth Power. So we have Stab, Psychic to deal with Mega Venusaur. Very, very nice to have. Deals with Breloom very nicely. Deals with Keldeo once we have set up one particular move. I'll show you in a minute. Sludge Wave to deal with Ludicolo when he's out with the rain. And what I am actually going to run this time, this isn't that standard, but it's something that I figured out, just a little mix to the team to show you what that like there's no real kind of standard other than, you know, having Hippodon, Execute is pretty standard, and your Stone Draymon. But I'm gonna run Rock Polish so we can get +2 speed, and I'm running Modest. So we're going to have a monstrous attack stat. We're going to be Life Orb boosted, Sheer Force boosted, and then I'm going to hopefully set up Rock Polish on something. And the great thing about Rock Polish is with Landorus Ice speed stat, if we set up Rock Polish and we're +2, we're outspeeding pretty much the whole game. The whole, even like the Swift Swimmers and Ludicolo and Kingdra, they're gone. Unless Kingdra I think is timid, but most Kingdras go Modest because they're a Swift Swim. So if you get the chance, and if you like, it gets rain teams, which is very, very, very seldom. But if there's a chance, if you kind of have a scout that Polytoad isn't carrying Ice Beam for some bizarre reason, he's carrying like Toxic, Rest, Sleep Talk, and Scald, or something different. Or if you scout that someone on their team does not have Ice Beam, and you have Landorus, you can be like, even though it should be able to take one Scald from a defensive mod, but it's offensively you gotta be careful. It's a cool setup move, but just be careful with it. That's all I gotta say, really. Just be careful with it. Don't go and rash and lose it, because this guy is a beast, and he deals with a lot of checks. When it comes to checks, actually so far, I should mention, Landorus deals with Venusaur, Breloom. If Rock Polish is up, it deals with Keldeo, and it deals with Ludicolo outside the rain, and deals with Ludicolo in rain when Rock Polish is up. Excadrill can deal with Azumarill in the sand. Excadrill can deal with a lot of mons in the sand, actually, to be fair. Gastron can kind of deal with Kuro. Hippowdon, basically a physical wall, which is fine. Garchomp's there to deal some damage. Manaphy is still a bit of a threat, but so you have to be careful. You have to play around that. But again, with Landorus, you should be able to deal with it fair enough. So it's not too bad. We've a good bit of it covered, and it's not great, but at the same time though, we deal with a lot of threats comfortably enough. It's just a matter of being able to kind of play around it and make sure they don't fully get set up, or you just need to be careful around it with this standard team. Now again, as I said, mess around, poke around with it as you please. And then my last mon, which I'm going to use, is going to be Mamoswine. It's going to be Mamoswine, and I'm running Mamoswine, Thick Fat. I like running Focus Sash because for me, Mamoswine is that mon where you come in and he can just really just terrify something. And this is actually a really good way of dealing with Ludicolo if you're clever. If you don't mess it up, because we have Freeze Dry. So again, it's going to be Earthquake. I'm going to go Ice Shard for a bit of priority. You have Freeze Dry to be because this is quite effective against Ludicolo, so it's really nice to have. And you could go Ice Crash, you can go Knock Off. There's a few other things as well. I'm going to go with I'm probably going to go with Ice Crash, to be fair, this time. Knock Off is really nice to have as well, but I don't see the point. Most of you guys probably know you can run bulky Mamoswine, or you can run a fast one. I normally run mine fast, even though it's got poor speed stat, because I just like it to outspeed some mons, but at the same time, I might run bulky this time, just for funsies. Yeah, I'm gonna run bulky. Well, yeah, I'm gonna run bulky. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna run a bulky. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna run bulky. And naive nature, so as Freeze Dry does as much as possible to it. Can do as much as possible to the water type mons and Ludicolo, Kingdra, all that kind of stuff. Even though you're not going to be able to speed Kingdra, but with Focus Sash, you should be able to take something. You should be able to take one hit. And this mon deals with the flying types too, which is always nice to have. If there's one flying type knocking about, you can just zap out with this guy. This guy's can handle it. Yeah, I'm going to run the physical. Yeah, I'll run the bulky variant this time, and if it doesn't work out, I'll go back to the speed one. That's the way I think it's going to run. Yeah, I think that's decent enough. Again, as I said, I didn't go too wild. I thought this is pretty standard. A lot of this stuff is what you're going to see normally on a ground team. I'm sorry if this bores you out of your mind. As I said, this isn't normally going to happen on T-Bin videos. It's because I don't know all the other types at all. I just know like basic stuff about one or two that's actually popularly used, but in depth I don't really know other than this type. And I was just asked to be able to explain this type in and out. So I'm sorry if a lot of you guys found this actually quite boring, but if you guys actually found it very useful, I'm glad, I'm delighted, and I hope you do I hope you have picked up one or two things from it. I'll leave a paste bin with the team in the description below. I'll put up links to the episodes of me laddering as they get uploaded in the description below as well. This should also be in the playlist for this series, and hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Sorry it took so long. I was ranting on an awful lot, but I'm hoping you guys learned something. Or if you don't disagree, that's fine. Or if you think I'm being just stupid, that's fine as well. Day one, like I said, I'm not a great team builder, I'm not a great battler, but this is just something that I kind of know, and I was asked to explain. I was like, fine, I will, no problem. Last point before I wrap up: if you guys have any thoughts, any suggestions, something you'd like to see, any kind of set or spread you think this could be cool, and or if you guys have used this, you should try using this set or that set because this is a really cool set. Then please, by all means, say it in the comments, because the more people know, the better that they can get a chance to use it. And you might show me something. I'm like, wow, I didn't know that. That's pretty cool. I might try that sometime. Or I might put it in the team, like, you know. So yeah, that's the last point. Thanks you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed today's video, please click like. If you want to see more of this, more of this content coming up, please click subscribe, and I'll see you next time.